How Greece Lost Control. In 2015, modern Europe witnessed something almost unthinkable. A developed nation using one of the world's most trusted currencies came within days of total financial collapse. Banks closed, ATMs ran dry, withdrawals were rationed, pensions were frozen. And Greece, the birthplace of democracy, philosophy, and the very idea of currency, was negotiating its survival with foreign creditors. This wasn't ancient history. This was a crisis unfolding inside the Eurozone, at the heart of the European Union. A country backed by global institutions was suddenly facing the kind of default usually associated with crumbling empires. How did it get here? How does a modern state, sharing a currency with Germany and France, end up begging for rescue after rescue? And why does this matter to you? Because Greece's meltdown wasn't just a national disaster, it was a modern demonstration of how global finance really works, how debt becomes leverage, how sovereignty can evaporate, and how quickly stability can turn to panic when the money runs out. To understand the crash, we have to go back. When Greece adopted the euro in 2001, it gained access to historically cheap credit. A country long known for high deficits suddenly found itself able to borrow at rates nearly identical to Germany's. Investors believed euro membership guaranteed safety. So Greece borrowed heavily. Public salaries increased, infrastructure expanded, and optimism soared. But underneath the spending boom, the old problems persisted. A bloated bureaucracy, weak tax collection, widespread corruption, and deficits that kept widening. By 2008, when the global financial crisis erupted, Greece was already vulnerable. After Lehman Brothers collapsed, investors reassessed risks everywhere, and Greece's numbers simply didn't add up. In 2009, the world learned that Greece had been understating its deficit for years. The real figure approached 15% of GDP. Confidence collapsed overnight. Borrowing costs exploded. Markets shut Greece out. In 2010, Athens turned to the EU and the IMF for a bailout, 110 billion euros. But the price was steep. Deep austerity, tax increases, pension cuts, and sweeping reforms. These policies were meant to stabilize the country. Instead, they triggered a downward spiral. The economy shrank. Unemployment soared past 27%. Youth unemployment reached catastrophic levels. Businesses closed, public services struggled, and ordinary citizens paid the price. And despite the sacrifices, the debt only grew worse. When GDP collapses, debt becomes heavier, not lighter. By 2012, a second bailout was needed. Another 130 billion euros, along with the largest debt restructuring in history. But the relief wasn't enough to restore control. Each rescue package came with more conditions, more oversight, and less room for Greece to govern itself. Then came 2015. The Syriza government held a referendum rejecting the latest creditor demands. The public voted no. But within days, the government accepted an even harsher deal because the alternative, leaving the euro and returning to the drachma, risked total chaos. Greece kept the euro, but lost much of its economic independence. The so-called Troika, the European Commission, the ECB, and the IMF, effectively dictated national policy. Spending, taxes, reforms, all required approval. This wasn't new in history. Debt has long been a tool of power. In the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire faced foreign oversight after repeated defaults. European creditors created the Ottoman Public Debt Administration, seizing control of customs revenues. Egypt experienced something similar in the 1870s after borrowing heavily for modernization. When Egypt defaulted, Britain and France stepped in, not with armies at first, but with financial administrators. Sovereignty existed on paper, but control had shifted. Greece, in the 2000s, lived through the modern equivalent. No occupation. No invasion. Just a financial trusteeship. Policies weren't written in Athens. They were approved elsewhere. For the Greek people, the suffering was immense. Pensions were slashed. Hospitals ran short of supplies. A generation lost economic opportunities. And even today, Greece carries one of the highest debt ratios in the world, over 160% of GDP. Stability returned, but at the cost of a lost decade. Why does this matter now? Because the same pattern is repeating globally. Countries like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Argentina are wrestling with the same cycle. Heavy borrowing, crisis, IMF intervention, austerity. The structure never changes, only the names do. Even large nations aren't immune. Italy faces enormous debt. Japan's public debt is among the highest ever recorded. And the United States, despite its reserve currency advantage, is entering unprecedented territory. The real lesson is this: crises are not about spreadsheets, they're about control. When you can't print your own currency, when you rely on external financing, when your debt limits your decisions, sovereignty becomes conditional. Debt is easy when times are good. It feels harmless. But when markets shift, debt becomes a chain, and the people who lent you the money begin to shape your choices. Greece didn't fall in the traditional sense. No walls crumbled. But its ability to govern itself was deeply compromised. A modern country inside a union built for stability lost control of its destiny. History doesn't repeat, it echoes. And when a nation inside the Eurozone nearly collapses like a fading empire, it shows how fragile financial freedom truly is. Please subscribe and support me to keep this kind of content coming. Goodbye.